What is going on? Happy Wednesday.
Hey everyone, welcome to Wednesday.
Welcome to Money Hungry. We're grateful to have you all with us. So, Nova is already with us. Usually we start people in the back. I guess today we're doing things a little different. How's your guys' week been?
Mine's been good, busy. First week that my daughter is out of school, so it's been juggling, mom duty along with gig work, along with everything else. So I feel like it's been a crazy week.
Oh, I feel that. So, speaking of parenting stuff, I got a quick story about something that happened to me last week, if you guys will oblige me for a moment. So,
Of course.
I've got an awesome, awesome kid, right? I'm a single parent, and my not so little dude is like my best friend, and he and I banter back and forth all the time. And so I decided last Friday that I was going to take my mom and my son out for lunch in town, and it was close enough that we met here and we walked into town. Well, when we almost were to the restaurant, I had twisted my ankle. So we got through eating lunch, and as we're getting up from the table after our meal, my son is bantering back and forth with me, and I'm like, so how's it feel to have a dad who's a YouTuber? He's like, shut up, Dad. Nobody knows who you are. Like, knock it off, right? And he loves to keep me humble. So we being is that I twisted my ankle, we decided to summon an Uber. So we hop in the Uber, and the Uber driver looks at me and he's like, "You're Zach. I know who you are." And so called it, Kim. Look at the comments.
Your mic is all the way up.
So here we'll do that. Hopefully that'll be a little better. So right after my son got done telling me that nobody knows who I am, the very next person that we interacted with was an Uber driver named John, who made me look awesome in front of my kids. So shout out to John.
That's hilarious.
That's awesome. That's awesome, though. Way to look like a superhero in front
I
of your kid.
exactly right. So and that's kind of it's such a one-off thing for me, right? Like it's happened maybe two or three times ever, and so for it to happen right after that conversation and in front of my kid was just awesome. So that was the highlight of my week by a mile. I got to look awesome in front of my kid. Got to have a great meal with my family. So that's yeah, that's my story. So again, shout out to John.
That's awesome. So, welcome, Nova. We're gonna, get into who you are, what you do, why you are here today, because there's something very specific that we want to talk to you about. But first of all, you have an amazing YouTube channel for those of you who don't know Nova. But before we start, so what do you go by? Do you go by Nova Dasher? Do you go by another name? Like, what do people call you?
People call me Nova or Marco. I mean, I respond to both. So whatever you're comfortable with, I'm cool with that.
Okay, awesome.
So we have a slide for you, and we always forget to put that up in the beginning.
Hold
So
on.
let's get that pulled up first, and we'll go from there.
Eh,
So yeah, man, I love it. So we've got quite a packed show. So obviously we've got Nova Dasher with us today. We're going to talk about some DoorDash drivers getting $10,000. We're going to talk about DoorDash's biggest update in a decade. We're going to talk about Kim being MacGyver and uncovering some really interesting stuff that DoorDash does not want us to know or realize. But Kim is bright, so of course she got to the bottom of it. We're going to talk about bad tipping practices, drivers getting into shootouts with the cops, and if gig work is a real job. So buckle up; it's going to be a show.
It's going to be an interesting show. When we were putting together tonight's show, I'm like, wow, we have a lot going on this week. And it started off really slow when we started putting the show together. I'm like, I don't know, this is kind of a slow week. And then all of a sudden, like, it exploded. And I'm
Boom.
like, whoa, we have a jam-packed show going on tonight. So let's start with
Well,
Nova, Marco. Sorry, go ahead.
real quick, there was something else that the rideshare guy himself did over this
This
last
is
the last within the last what 2 days.
Yeah, this is really exciting, guys. I'm excited for everybody to know about it, and you're hearing it here first.
So, Harry Campbell, the founder of the RideShare Guy, just did an interview with Tony Shu from Doordash. So, we don't have the dates that interview is going to be posted yet, but that is going to be a video you are not going to want to miss. I don't want to miss it. I hope you guys catch it.
It's too bad, we didn't ask him to ask Tony why he deactivated me. That would have been great. Would have been
Right?
great. You put
There
him on the
you
spot.
go.
Right. I would have
Right
loved to
on
have
the
said,
spot.
and I would have loved to like put on a suit and sit right behind Harry, like just like this the whole interview. Like just just sneering. Oh, it would have been a fun interview for sure. But Kim, why don't you go ahead and take us into our first topic?
Yeah, absolutely. So our first topic is actually Nova. So first of all, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and kind of why we're here today, so you can kind of tell your side of the story about DoorDash.
Oh, well, just like you guys just did some good work. And then I'm like, you know what? I see people on YouTube. I can do that too. You know what I mean? And just kind of just started making videos, and slowly over time, you get 1,000 subs, you get monetized. You give like another like motivation to keep going, and then that's basically it. I've been doing it for 2 years, actually, July 1st. So, we're right around almost 5,000 subs. So not as big as you guys, but getting there, baby stepping in, as I like to say. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it's just just sharing my day to day, like any other driver. Sharing my successes, my pain. Just a little things that happen every day that only other drivers can relate to.
So, you're unique in the gig driving space for a reason. You've got 2 or 3 deliveries under your belt. How many deliveries on DoorDash alone did you have?
I had like, man, I wish I knew they were gonna deactivate. I wish I could take a screenshot right before it happened. But of course, I think I had 21,100 and some
Oh,
change. So a decent amount, you could say that.
21,000.
21,000. That's the only thing it kept saying
Yeah.
is 21,000.
That's
21,000.
a grip of deliveries. So,
That's yeah.
walk us through what happened with your deactivation.
So, just like any other normal day, I was just checking my schedule. Everything was cool. Because if you guys don't know, I work overnight. I have a W-2 overnight job. So I was checking my schedule just to make sure that I had a schedule for the next day. Because sometimes you think you schedule and you don't, they kind of ruin the whole day or whatever. And then I checked it around like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Everything was cool. And then I get on around 6:30 or so. And the app, when you load it up, it glitches, like it just loads. I'm like, oh, it's just glitching, whatever. Before I close the app, open it up again. And then it just literally said like, oh, your account has been deactivated due to suspicious or unusual activity. And as soon as that happened, I was like, whoa, what is going on? You know? So I go to my email because everyone tells you when you get deactivated, you're supposed to get an email. So I'm looking at my spam, I'm looking at everything, nothing. So I'm like, okay. So I kind of sit there and process for a little bit, because I had other things planned already for that day that were not DoorDash related. So that was still going to happen regardless. But then I go and do the appeal. But then I get an email saying we received the appeal. So I got an email saying they received the appeal, but no email at all regarding the deactivation, right? And then I got thinking, what could it have been? This lady that lied about her vibrator? Because if you guys don't know, I had a CVS shopping order, and this lady said she didn't get her vibrator, her $49.99 vibrator. Like, I want to keep that, and it
Wow.
was a hint, so it was, but it was leaving my door. I took the photo. I get to the car. I finish my dash. Contract violation, and it tells you which one it is. So I knew what it was, and I had just had one fall off, and then one came back. So again, after that, I call support, and then I'm like, they kind of give me that. Oh, the first lady told me, everything seems good here. So I'm like, is my deactivation so fresh that they don't even see it in their system, or she's just telling me something just to tell me something, And then after that, I made the video real on the fly, just kind of let my emotions out, and people were saying, well, you're so calm. I'm like, if I don't have any control over it, worrying about it isn't going to do anything. What all I can do is try and move on for now.
So,
And that's kind of, when I made the video.
is there any coincidence with the fact that it was a vibrator and a contract violation? Like, I
Absolutely
was
not, man.
not
And you
expecting
know
that
what's
one.
crazy? This lady lives in a really fancy apartment. Like,
Hmm.
we got to get buzzed in. You need a key fob to go in the elevator. Like, fancy spot.
So, so the fine, very non-dirty minded people in the comments have a couple questions. Did it come with batteries?
You know what? You know what? It did have the little try me thing on the side, so I'm sure it had.
Oh,
You know when you can press it and you're like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it has batteries. I think
top
so.
10 ways to get kicked out of CVS quick.
Yeah.
So what did support say when you got in touch with them? Sounds like you had quite the runaround.
Right, right. So that was the first one, and then I called again later in that day, and that person told me, "Well, suspicious because let me backtrack. When you do the appeal, it gives you all these options. None of those options are unusual or suspicious activity. They have like fraud. They have your background is flagged. They have all kinds of things like theft, you know." And I was like, okay, so they have all these options, but the one they're giving me isn't one of these options. So they have a little category that says other. Clicked on that, and then you kind of basically tell your side of the story, or you type in like I put in there like I don't know what's going on, got 21,000 deliveries, basically just kind of telling them a little bit about me, although I'm sure it just fell into some algorithm thing and no one
Yeah.
ever read it. So then when I called back the second time, the lady was like, well, you seems like your level of deliveries, your number of deliveries is really high. And I was like, well, I've been doing this since 2018. So that's, a little under 5 years. It
Yeah.
would have been 5 years in December. So
You
kind of
put
weird.
That's
in,
crazy.
you put in a few hours a night over 5 years, and that's not an unreasonable number of deliveries, in my
you know.
opinion.
And then I called again, and this lady told me, "Oh, you need to give them 96 hours for the deactivation team to get back to you." Okay, so I think that's like 4 days, right? 96 hours, maybe. I think it's like 4 days. And then the next person that I spoke to said, "Well, we can't tell you anything due to privacy." And I was like, "Whose privacy? My privacy? Because I want to know."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's basically the extent of support. I feel like it's hard to get someone either in the States or someone that can actually help you with the issue.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm sure I'm talking to someone in some call center or in someone's the chicken farm in the Philippines or India or wherever they're at.
Yeah.
Nothing against them, but they can't really help me. You know,
Yeah.
Wow.
Support is, and that's something that I always tell people: do not take what support says as the holy grail, because you call 2 or 3 times, you're going to get a different answer.
Yeah.
hmm
So,
Before we
they,
continue on, I just want to say thank you, Steve, RideShare Rodeo. Much
thank you, Steve.
appreciated.
Appreciate you, man. You're awesome. So, as of now, and this happened about 3 weeks ago now, right?
3 weeks ago, yesterday. So
Okay. And as of now, there's no resolution. Is that correct?
that is correct.
So, what are you doing as far as gig work now? You doing some Uber Eats or?
Yeah, yeah. So it's funny. For years, I could not get an Uber because there was an issue with my account. As soon as that happened, that prompted my butt to go to DC and go to the Uber, I think an actual physical, brick building,
Yeah.
and talk to them. Got that figured out, and then
Okay.
Grubhub, and then if you guys have heard of VHO, I've been doing a lot of VHO lately, which
Mhm.
is like a last mile, kind of like Amazon Flex type of app, where you go to a warehouse, they tell you where you're gonna go, how much you're gonna make, 2 or 3 hours or whatever.
Okay.
And then I also be doing Empower, which is like a more of a local app. I mean, they're in like DC, Maryland, Virginia, New York City, South Carolina, North Carolina, but it's
Okay.
another ride sharing app. Um, but yeah, so
I've
I've been keeping busy.
I've heard
I
of that, I
haven't
believe. Yeah.
yeah I haven't let them stop me. That's for sure.
Okay.
That's
If
awesome.
anything, it just kind of put up a fire to keep going.
So are
Yeah.
you still like, is it comparable, like what you were making on DoorDashes versus like getting into like all these other apps? Is like the pay comparable now that you got
Yeah,
rid of
yeah.
DoorDash and
Initially that was like my wife's question, because she was like, "Oh my God, are we gonna be okay?" And this and that. And I was like, "Well, I don't. We're not living off the gig work. That's to buy a home and to pay debts, things like that." But I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I want to see how it goes. I want to see, how is it now?" And yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not. I think the apps. I mean, DoorDash is king in my zone. When it comes to the amount of orders you can get an hour, things like that,
Mhm.
right? But Grubhub really has either somehow, some way just awoken in my area. Or I mean, I have so many thoughts and theories. Just I feel like just having that Grubhub app open, actively open, somehow just gives me more orders. Whereas in the past, it was just like in the background turned off, and I had DoorDash open or whatever. But that could just be in my head. I don't know. But as of late, I've been doing like, pick up like a 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning, VHO run, paying like $90, taking me 3-4 hours. So then when that's done, I'm already almost at $100, and I like to do $200 a day, but I've been hitting like 150, 170, but it hasn't been a huge drastic change for me, but it's definitely been a little bit slower.
Got it. So Steve says, quote, we see you've been an amazing asset to the DoorDash platform with 21,000 plus deliveries. Congrats. We're going to have to let you go.
Basically. I mean, I have so
Sounds
many
about
theories
right.
because it was around the time where they were releasing the Dasher rewards thing in certain parts, and I kept seeing all these people getting deactivated and things like that, so I don't know. It's interesting for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm glad, and I thought it was really important, which is why we had you come on. That there is a life after DoorDash. Like I feel like a lot of times, like we're so like DoorDash, and
Yeah.
it's my number one app. But there is other things out there that still make you
Much better
money.
things.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Much better apps.
I think it just kind of just reminded me that, maybe I was too reliant on one single app, even though I had other apps. But, I knew that I could turn it on. I knew that I was going to make X amount of dollars no matter what, because the volume is there, at least in my market.
And you are in a good market. I've watched some of your videos.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
definitely
It's a
get
good,
orders
I'm
that
like, yeah.
you get
I
orders that I
think my
would
biggest
never see.
takeaway from my deactivation video was that misinformation in the comments. Well, first of all, you have the scammers that come in. Oh, check Instagram and so can reactivate your account. That's BS.
Yeah.
And then you have the people that are like, "Oh, I read somewhere that your AR needs to be 50% or you get deactivated." And I'm like, "Where'd you read that?"
Yeah.
So the amount of people that are either misinformed or just new dashers overall is insane.
Yep.
Because they're like, "Oh, how can you not know? You should look at your acceptance rating; it's so low." And in the screenshot that I used, it was like 19%. That's not that low, and for me at least. 19%. That's double digits.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
hey, you know
it's
what?
that even to this day, the comments are just like there's a lot of misconceptions and a lot of like misinformation. And I try to do my best to report those scammers and stuff.
I'll tell you what. My true hourly pay, not their farce version of it. My true hourly pay from DoorDash is low, as well as my insurance contribution from them, as well as the gas reimbursement. So I'm going to keep my acceptance low until I get a sense for me. This is just my prerogative. So I find it interesting that DoorDash just did a wave of seemingly mass deactivations, and then they immediately flip around and they give away a bunch of drivers. They give a bunch of drivers $10,000. Oh, did I get the wrong one? Okay, let's come back to this one in a minute.
I can do that one.
So I believe this was given to, it was 200 drivers, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, Kim? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
200 drivers last night. It was floating around that it had started being distributed to Joshers last night.
So somebody commented on one of my videos, kind of going after me about not covering this, and I'm like, dude, like this is like literally just yesterday. Chill. Supposedly one of my subscribers was one of the recipients of this, so I haven't been able to verify.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah. So I want to have a conversation with both of you about why they're doing this and if this is a good faith gesture for drivers or if this is actually more of a publicity stunt. What do you guys think?
I personally think that it's just too little too late. I really believe that it is a PR. Like let's get into the good graces of everybody and show how wonderful we are. $10,000 is a lot of money, but when you really think about it, 200 drivers in the midst of millions of drivers, like it only scratches it only literally scratches the surface of drivers that are out there. And I just, I don't know. I just think it's too little too late with all the stuff that DoorDash has going on with you can just probably list everything that's negative or wrong with DoorDash. And then, here you go, $10,000. To me, it doesn't sit well with me, at least for me.
So for me, it's almost like hey, look over here while we, throw a little bit of cash in that direction and we recoup tenfold in this other direction that you're not looking in. So we're not, what a true good faith gesture would be is to actually pay drivers a reasonable amount of the delivery fees that the customers charge, the service fee and the delivery fee, right? I've spent like $15, $16 in fees before on a meal, and I know that driver is only going to get $2.75 in base pay. Like, that driver should see at least like $8 of that. Come on now. Like, that is what I want to see them do, rather than start throwing money at like, 200 drivers. And I wish I knew that. I wish I knew their criteria for this. They said it was 200, and they're old accounts, correct? They're not just.
It was, from what I know, I mean, it's, I don't know this for a fact, but the rumor out there, it was random. I don't know whether you had to have a certain amount of. What?
I'll tell you, it would be random if I randomly got 10 grand from DoorDash.
Well,
we
it's
all
funny.
know.
Well, see, this is what, like, the mindset of every driver. So I started getting this after my live last night. I was floating in as I was doing it. And then I started researching it myself. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go to my DoorDash account to see if I have $10,000. And I'm like, nope, no $10,000 for me. But then, like, you think as a DoorDash driver, okay, I think I have like 9,600. I'm like, I'm approaching 10K soon. So I'm like, okay, I'm close to 10,000. Okay, I'm a top dasher. Okay, I have a high acceptance rate. Like, but nope, no $10,000 in my account anytime soon.
Yeah.
Well, from what I read on Facebook, someone put a screenshot of them talking to support, and they said you needed to be signed up in 2016 for you to be included in this. So if you think about it, if you've been dashing consistently since 2016, you should have 10,000 plus. You know what I mean? That's a long time.
Yeah.
So I think they probably sat in a room and said, okay, let's do 2018. No, that's too many drivers. We can't afford that. Let's do 2017. Oh, that's too many. Let's go back to 2016 and give them, $10,000. Let's see, So that's what I think. I think, like you said, it's just a PR thing, because 200 people, that's gonna be like 0.0001% of the dashers out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thomas has a question for you. Have you ever been a top dasher, Nova?
No, I was a proud top decliner.
Well, when you were first activated, you should have been given Top Dasher, right?
No, I mean, when
was.
I got on, everything was so different. That was like the OG. I don't even think that was OG. That's like the second generation of DoorDash drivers, I think.
Yeah, I think you and I started the same year. I started in 2018 too, but I started in the summer of 2018.
So
December.
We've got some screenshots of what this looks like for those who actually won, were gifted. I don't even know what to call this. Those who randomly had
bonus, I guess.
Yeah, those who got a $10,000 bonus. So, Kim, can you go ahead and read the one on the left off? It's a little small.
Yeah. Let me get my reading glasses on too. Okay. Hold on for 1 second.
I might be able to get through this one. This year, DoorDash is celebrating our 10-year anniversary. As part of this milestone, we want to express our gratitude to the dashers who have been on the road with us, delivering countless meals and smiles. Countless meals and smiles, people. Sorry. For nearly a decade. Your dedication and excellence, have helped us grow and empower your local community, all while strengthening your Dasher community. How nice is that? We wouldn't be here without you. Okay, that part's true. And then it says, Lewis, look for a $10,000 reward to be deposited into your account today as a special thank you from us.
I would have replied and said, can you guys give me a little more to help me cover the taxes on that?
Yeah, right. So, again, I personally, I just think that this is kind of, and this is coming like right when DoorDash was doing this big press release about all this fantastic new dog shit they're releasing, and I think it was a publicity stunt, honestly. And it's wonderful for the 200 drivers who got this, but
I personally think it was all timed impeccably due to the rollout and the press release that got released today. So did you guys hear about all the press release that happened today?
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that.
So,
Salt wants to know where his 10 grand is. Me too, brother. Me too.
Yeah, me too. If you find it, let me know and what tree it grows on.
Yeah. So, this big announcement that they made, the biggest announcement of the decade, is called Dash Forward. So, this is the fancy little graphic that they put up for it, which I unapologetically stole. And if we can go to, we have another screenshot of this, right?
Let's see.
Or is that might actually be the only one? Nope.
Nope, that's it.
Okay, cool. So, part of this was a press release, basically, talking about all of the fantastic new shit that DoorDash is releasing. So, this is not going to be a complete list of the things that they're bragging about, and I'm going to only talk about the things that are relevant to drivers. So, among the things that are actually interesting or relate to drivers is universal search. So if I'm in a new city and I'm craving some pad thai or something like that, I can just type in pad thai and see every place which will get me some pad thai going, which I think is actually pretty cool. That's a cool feature. I will give them that. Revolutionary and the biggest feature in 10 years, probably not. Cool nonetheless. Can we pull the graphic down?
Yep.
Thank you. So that one's fine. And feel free to jump in if any of these strike you guys' interest here. The next one that they were going on about is multiple carts. So like when you go to check out, you got a bunch of stuff in your shopping cart. So they now support having multiple carts. So if you need like a grocery run, but then you also want to have, your dinner order scheduled, you don't have to do them at the same time. They started doing this about 6 months ago. You can now do, maybe not 6 months ago, maybe about 4. You can now use government benefits like food stamps to buy groceries on DoorDash. So that will lead to, of course, more grocery orders on the platform that we will not see tips for. So my prerogative on that is not a positive one. What do you guys think about that? Let's take a moment to talk about that for a minute.
I think it'd be cool if they could somehow tell you, hey, this is an EBT order. Like if it came on the offer screen, that way I know, hey, if I feel like helping somebody out and if it's not out of the way, maybe. But yeah, I think like you said, some of these features are, I think Uber's already done some of this, with certain things. So I think
It's
DoorDash
funny.
is trying to play catch up.
It's funny you say that because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, when I was reading through some of these, I'm like, this isn't new. Companies have already been doing this. I mean, Instacart has, different carts to do with. So you can, if you have like roommates and stuff like that, same thing with Uber Eats. Like, I feel like this is just, okay, we need to get with the times of the apps that are already doing this. So we need to bring the technology, even though we're a tech company, we need to bring it into DoorDash.
So another thing that they're bragging about is earn by time. People, that is a scam. That is a scam. They're trying to pass this off. So actually, matter of fact, as of about 2 or 3 hours ago, CNN on their homepage had an article about DoorDash solving one of the big problems of delivery. And they quoted how that one study in New York claimed that drivers were only making $7.08 an hour. And so they tried to spin this in a positive light. So once again, we have the media thinking that drivers are making a living wage prior to tips. So, guys, that program is a scam. It's not a true hourly rate. It gives you almost zero transparency, and you are the first to get no tip orders. As somebody who does not earn by time, I haven't seen a non-tip order in weeks. Because those are going to the earn by time drivers.
I don't have it yet in my area, so I can't even talk about it because it's not even here. I thought that once they released this today, as soon as I saw all this coming in, I'm like, ooh, let me go check DoorDash to see if it's available now in my market.
Still not
there.
It was never in my market either when I was on DoorDash, and I always thought it was because Virginia, where I live, the cost of living is so high. I wonder what number it would have to be for someone to actually say, hey, I want to do earn by time. You know what I mean?
So it's not just the earn by time that I found funny in this press release. They were bragging about earn by order as well, which is not new. That has been DoorDash since their inception.
I say, isn't that like what they've been since 10 years ago?
Oh, yeah, but now you get an option to get screwed one way or you get the option to get screwed the other way. So, we're coming along, right? So,
Just real quick, I just wanted to point out. So Karen said, wish DoorDash would gift out some new tires, hand cards, and a few new vehicles on a monthly basis. Real motivation for drivers. Hey, it's something we all need.
I think Karen just won the internet for the night. That's what we really need. So,
It really
and
is.
that's valid, right? Like, how about some damn help with car repairs? Like, maybe you guys could set aside like 50 cents from each delivery, so when our cars inevitably break down, roll over, and shit themselves, we can actually afford to get them fixed.
But as big as DoorDash is, they don't really have that many partners. I think Roadie, as crappy as that app is, will tell you get like a discount of Jiffy Lube and things like that, which DoorDash doesn't even do any of that, I don't think. At least with major retailers. I think they have a few small ones.
Uber Eats does. They always.
Uber does.
What is it? True?
Yeah.
Was it True? Is it True? What do they use? Car Advisory, True Car, something like
Yeah,
that.
some
Car.
car. Yeah.
True Car or something
And they
like that.
offer a discount on like oil changes and a whole bunch of like car repairs, which is actually
Because
pretty
I
awesome.
barely do Roadie, but if I need an oil change, she'll pull up the Roadie app real quick and show them the little code.
So
Give me a
DoorDash
discount.
in the past has partnered with Stride. And so they, in the past, have said, hey, you could get these discounts for being a Dasher because we partner with this other company who partners with them. So their partnership has never been like one-on-one with them, but they have kind of, in a roundabout way, helped drivers get, discounts on tires and oil changes and stuff like that. So there's a couple more here really quick that I wanted to touch on. So there's the earn by time, earn by order. This one I'm not a fan of. Post checkout tipping. So they're bragging to customers and they're making it known that customers can tip after the order is delivered now. So that is
Now, see, I think it's a good thing.
how is that a good thing?
Because if you order from DoorDash, it still gives you the same tipping thing. So people don't really know about it until after you place the order, and then it pops up on your screen. Sorry, go ahead.
I'll let you finish it. I'm gonna let you finish, but go ahead. Sorry.
I have had positive experiences with it. I haven't had anybody like take away tip, right? I mean, that's not a feature that they have, but I've had people like I've given really good communication and good service, and I've gotten tips, like big tips added after the fact, which is actually what I like about it.
So I've had tips added after as well, like additional tips, right?
Yeah.
My concern is that this is going to enable the customers that had no intention of tipping to begin with. And now they're going to take that and run with it and be like, oh, well, now I can tip after I experience the service.
But
So
someone's gonna not tip, they had all intentions of not tipping to begin with. So
okay,
just
I mean,
kind of-
that's fine and well, too. But I want you to think about it from this perspective. What if somebody had every intention of tipping, but they did want to see, like, let's see if they follow the delivery instructions. They're like, okay, I'm going to tip after the driver follows the instructions. And then the customer just forgets, and the driver gets shafted. This will lead to an increase.
When I've done DoorDash orders for myself, I've never seen it after the fact. I've actually seen it like when the driver was on its way. So like there's like an actual screen that pops up that, your DoorDash is on your way, add additional tip for good service and blah, blah, blah. It wasn't like after the delivery. At least I didn't see it after delivery.
It depends on where you are, which market you're in, but they're trying two different versions of this. And we've kind of touched on this before. In Baton Rouge, customers don't have the option to leave a tip ahead of time.
Right,
It's
but that's only
after the
like
driver-
one. That's only like
Right.
one market in the United States. Like the
But they're
majority of
trying
us
it.
have that figure. Yeah, but it's not rolled out to the whole entire country.
They must sound like Baton Rouge. That sucks for those customers.
It sucks for those drivers too, man. Like,
Them
can you
too.
imagine?
Yeah.
So, and the way that they rolled this out was they started with like $5 peak pay, right? And then all of a sudden it was like $4, and then $3, and then $2, and now there's no freaking peak pay. So now you're just seeing a bunch of $2.75 offers getting shot out to driver after driver, and nobody wants to take them. But DoorDash, again, like the Diamond program, right? Like let's go back to that for a minute, Kim. The Diamond program was in my market and like 2 or 3 others when it first started, and that was supposed to be a super temporary thing just for the summer, and it worked because they had so much success with the drivers. My concern is with DoorDash pushing this nonsense about, oh, you can tip after and it's okay, that customers just aren't going to tip up front to begin with because they can, they can go
But I
back and be
wonder
like,
if DoorDash would send that offer differently to the dasher. Like, okay, this is the customer selected. I'm going to tip after the fact. So then they'll show it as, I don't know, guaranteed minimum amount or something like that. I feel like they're going to have to do that, or drivers are not going to take them, you know?
Just
Some
re-
driver will probably,
Just
but
real
not
quick,
all.
thank you, Jeff. Much
thank you.
appreciated. If Dashers could ever be profitable, DoorDash would have employees doing it. DoorDash loses money on every order to monopolize app flavor in the race. So thank you, Jeff.
Appreciate you. So, actually, and Lily in the comments there, the second to last message was one of the people who put me onto the thing in Baton Rouge. So, it was interesting hearing from a driver there how this is affecting them. So, I get where you're coming from, Kim, but I see this as DoorDash trying to tiptoe out of the realm of tipping entirely. But we all know how well they pay drivers when there aren't tips involved. So it's a scary prospect for me.
Yeah, I think drivers would eventually catch on and be like, "We stay away from that. That's no tip, whatever." But yeah, like you said, I mean, DoorDash is going to do whatever they can to get those orders delivered, no matter what.
Yeah, to the point where it's like detrimental to them. They are losing money on a lot of these orders to get them delivered. So, I don't know. Real quick, so there's one more. I keep trying to get through this, and we keep going on tirades here. There's one more feature that I wanted to quickly talk about that DoorDash announced, and that is location sharing with up to 5 people. This is a good feature, in my opinion. So,
Yeah, I agree. It's a good safety feature. I don't use DoorDash's version of this. I do my own version of it with like my own husband. Like
mhm.
whenever I'm on, and DoorDash is the easiest app to do this. Whenever I go on an order, I actually screenshot the address that I'm going to so he knows where I'm going. And then I always follow up with order done so he can kind of keep track where I'm at. But you have an app now who does it for you. So I think it's actually a really good safety feature.
So we have gotten through all of those. Kim, I was absolutely blown away by your detective work. So, we touched on a program called Dash Routes last week, and it just didn't sit right with Kim. So,
It didn't. So I decided I wanted to really research this further. And I have a video for the RideShare Guy coming out on Friday. So there's going to be a lot more details in the video coming out. Oh, sorry. It's now going to be on Sunday. Sorry, Chris. It'll be on Sunday. So stay tuned for that. But I wanted to really understand the program because there really are a lot of questions in Facebook groups, also in Reddit. And then I got a couple of questions after the show as well. Should I sign up? Should I not sign up? And I really couldn't tell them to or not to until I really understood the program. So because of the video, I really went into details and I pretended to sign up for Dash Routes as a DoorDash driver myself. And it was all standard stuff, name, address, email, blah, blah, blah. But on the very, very bottom, this is where it gets interesting. You have to sign your name off on a fantastic DoorDash agreement, almost like a terms of service. So we all know how terms of service go with DoorDash. You really have to read between the fine print. So I went in and I started reading through it. And some of the stuff, I'll be honest, I'm like, what? And I had to read through it a couple times to really understand it. But these are things that you should really be careful of in the verbiage of this program. So one that it says, so the first one, it says Dash Root's goal is to build a network of members who provide voices for local neighborhoods and engage, cultivate, and activate the Dash Roots member to advocate for policies, keyword, and laws, including without limitation, policies and laws that empower local economies. So it gets interesting. The second one that I thought was interesting, in connection with Dash routes, DoorDash will process personal information to allow you to register for and participate in public policy advocacy activities in connection with Dash routes, which activities will include, but not limited to, receiving communication, creating and initiating the transmission of communication to legislative bodies and regulators or government entities. So in a nutshell, if you kind of got all of that, they're grabbing a whole bunch of DoorDashers, merchants, and customers, and anybody who wants to join this Dash routes, and they're using it as a platform for all the things that are happening in your local states. That is on DoorDash's agenda, not your agenda. And they put it so it sounds like they're fighting for independence and for you to, for us, but they're really also fighting for not showing drivers full transparency, like stuff like we absolutely hate. And now you're signing almost like a petition saying you agree with everything that DoorDash is trying to fight in a lot of these states. So just
it just sounds like they're trying to get lobbyists. That's what it sounds like.
It really is. It's like exactly literally a whole bunch of petitions going on that they're trying to grab a whole bunch of names. And this is the craziest part. The last one is they can get your social media accounts. That's another thing. And the last thing is this is crazy to me. DoorDash has implemented administrative, organization, and technical and physical security controls that are designed to safeguard your personal information. However, no online activity is ever fully secure or error-free. While we strive to protect your information, we cannot guarantee that your personal information is absolutely secure.
And this is going into a Google Drive, correct?
I mean, it's a form that you really have to fill out. So yeah, it's like a database.
So
for drivers, customers, for merchants. And the last thing is literally any person, anybody, like random Joe Schmo off the street, they can get to sign it and be part of this group.
So, and all of a sudden they have a list of potentially hundreds of thousands of drivers, and you gave them permission to use your likeness, your name, to go to lawmakers and be like, hey, we got a bunch of people who oppose this, when the reality is many of these drivers probably didn't even know about the proposed legislation to begin with.
No.
So
it just makes me think of the Colorado bill that got shut down, that they were fighting for, full transparency of every order. And like, there was a whole bunch of things that actually helped drivers. It helped people, get reactivated after deactivation, like transparency when it came to that. So DoorDash was fighting it. So now they have a whole bunch of signatures saying, all these Dashers are on our side. They want,
they don't want to know how much they're going to get paid.
Yeah.
I wonder how many merchants are truly for that anyways. Because I feel like all the merchants that I talk to, they don't like any of the apps. You know what I mean?
Good point.
I feel like most of them are like, we're doing it because, we're on the app, but they don't actually want to do it. When it comes down to the store level, I'm sure at corporate level, maybe a little bit different. But to the actual person that's doing the task, they don't like it.
And actually, you saying that kind of resonated with me. And I remember getting an email from DoorDash, I don't know, 8 months ago, a year ago, something like that, for something happening in Seattle. Okay, I don't even drive in Seattle, but I was getting emails for something that was like on a city level. And it was Seattle City Council trying to cap the fees that restaurants could be charged. So by restaurants signing up for this, DoorDash can also be like, hey, here's all these restaurants that think that we're just growing their business hugely, and you shouldn't limit how much we can charge them. So, I mean, this is definitely a thing that benefits them more than anybody else.
Yeah, well, when I was also researching this, and this is where they make it sound so enticing and so fantastic, especially Dashers. They said Dashers, 87% of Dashers prefer to remain as independent contractors, so they keep their flexibility and freedom, since most are part-time. Dash routes will amplify their voices in policy debates. So they make it sound like they're only fighting for independence, but they're not. Like they're
They're
fighting
not,
for a
no.
whole bunch of other stuff that they're not telling Dashers that they're fighting for, that hinders Dashers, not helps them. It baffles my brain that it is so misleading with this program.
So I want to give you major props, Kim, for digging into this a lot deeper and uncovering this. We had our suspicions and you confirmed them. So very, very good job. Uh, Excellent journalism on that. Seriously, that was fantastic. So
Shout out Kim. Shout out Kim.
yeah. So let's talk about the customer who wasn't sure if she was tipping poorly. Can you read this one off for me?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just get back to it.
So, and those of you in the chat or the replay, please do share your opinions on this. We're going to have a poll so you can actually hold on, but pay close attention because we're going to ask you to chime in.
So it says, I had a promo for $30 off, so I used it. However, I didn't have extra money on my card to tip, so I tipped $12 in quarters. I don't ever, I don't ever carry cash either. Very rarely do I call, because I just saved the change. I have change from throughout the years, money I found, so I should have just not tipped, ? I feel so horrible. However, as a driver myself, I appreciate really any tip. Just wondering if that is just a terrible idea.
Nova, what do you think?
The first thing that comes to my mind is why they even write this? Like why even throw this into the universe? That's man, that's someone that shouldn't be using the app to begin with. Like if you don't have enough money, why aren't you going to pick it up yourself? If you're a driver, like she's saying she's a driver, right? Or he or she, I'm sorry. So that's when you gotta ask yourself, are you horrible? You're probably kind of horrible. Like if you have to ask the question, I think you're kind of answering it yourself, in my opinion.
So I see this one a little different. I would be really grateful to get $12 in quarters. We got meters all over the city. I'd be like, heck yeah. But I guess my concern is like I wouldn't have found myself in this position as a driver because this, obviously would have come up as a no tip order. It was a cash tip. So I wouldn't have accepted it. But like if I were to personally get $12 in quarters, man, I'd be like, I got $12 in quarters. I could do some freaking laundry.
I think of it as. I think
how
of
much
it
I have to
as.
spend.
Sorry, Nova, go ahead.
Sorry, no, I mean, because when you have a promo in any of the apps, you got to spend an X amount of dollars before you can apply the promo. It's not like they're going to give you the whole, everything off. So
Yeah.
I'm sure the order was probably pretty big, whatever they got.
I will say this, though. I agree with you that if you can't afford to tip, you can't afford to use the app.
Yeah. So I'm Jody, says, I'm actually received handfuls of quarters on several occasions of the years. Hey, I think money's money, whether it's quarters, pennies, dollar, quarter, dollar coins, whatever you want to put in there. Money is money. I mean, that's the way I look at it. I mean, granted, it wouldn't come up in the app, to your point. It would come up as a no-tip order. So just depends if the driver decided to take this type of order and what the miles were attached to this no-tip order.
I love how people are getting creative. Lily would go to the arcade. Salt would, of course, go to the gentleman's club. So, oh man. So we have a poll on this. It'll make it easier to kind of break down. So just drop in the comments or the replay. Back up one. If you think that this person was cheap or thoughtful.
I feel like it's a little mixture of in the middle. Like you were being thoughtful, but also kind of cheap. So I don't know.
I don't know. I guess if I'm making this up, if I had $100 to spend on Doordash, I wouldn't spend $100 on food. I would probably spend $60 or $65 on food and the rest on fees and tips. So I knew that my whole entire budget was that much amount of money. I wouldn't spend the whole entire thing on food, knowing that my driver is still going to come to my door. But that's just me personally.
Yeah. So, I mean, with drivers earning by time in my market, I know the order is going to get picked up. So, I mean, like, if that's, like, I mean, hey, if that's the difference between me getting, like an extra side or something and the driver still getting tipped or me tipping in the
Also,
app,
did she have the quarters in the bag? And she's literally handing me $12 of quarters. Like, how am I going to carry this?
man, just do it
Well,
like
it's probably
Halloween
not
style,
rolled
man.
up.
Just do it like Halloween style, man. Pillowcase,
Here's, put it in my catering bag. Now, just kidding.
there you go. I don't know, man. I think money's money, and in
Hey.
my city,
Look at this way. It could be used as a weapon too. Self-defense.
Hey, you just
true.
head over the
Just smack the shit out of somebody. The next person who doesn't give you $12 a quart. Oh my, that devolved quickly. Speaking of devolving quickly, there was a situation involving a DoorDash driver over this last week in Nebraska. The driver decided that he was going to pound as hard as he could on the customer's door and, walk off. So the driver and the customer got into a back and forth, and ultimately the DoorDash driver flashed a gun. And so they got a partial license plate. The police got involved. Police showed up to the driver's residence, and he pulled the gun on the cops, and they got into a shootout.
Driver unhinged. That's the only thing I kept when I read this article. I'm like, wow, he was special and he had a really bad day. Like, what makes a driver be that ridiculous? I just don't understand people. I just don't get it. We deliver food, people.
Yeah, see, and again, in my opinion, that's why you don't earn by time and you don't take no tip orders. Like, I have never gotten through a delivery and been like, oh wow, I wish I wouldn't have done that, or I'm pissed off at this person now.
I feel like I can't talk about earn by time just because I don't have it in my market. But there are people who do say that earn by time does work in the market. Granted, I don't know because I'm not in the market. I don't have it yet. But there are some drivers out there who actually do use it even during slow times. At least that's what I've been reading and watching.
See, just like him, I never did it, but in my mind, I feel like that's for like the W-2 mindset of drivers. Like a lot of drivers that do it have that mindset, like, they want to be hourly, and I feel like that applies to them, and it works for some people, but I feel like the people that have been doing it for a while, they know that's a scam,
So I've had a few people who originally were like, this is incredible, this is amazing. And then they came back a little later and they're like, yeah, I'm getting a bunch of no tip orders now. So
yeah, I have to agree with Nicole here. There are guys like that delivering, but Nova gets deactivated. There you go.
It's a valid synopsis.
It's crazy.
What? I don't know where I saw this, but shoot, and I'm gonna feel bad because I know it was like whoever talked about this, my apologies. I wish I remember who it was so I could give them a shout out, but I don't. Somebody was recently discussing how DoorDash drivers have the worst reputation, or they're the worst drivers, like statistically, out of DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub. Why? First of all, do you guys agree with that?
Maybe in Nebraska, no, I'm just kidding. I think because there's the most drivers, maybe just by default, having the most amount of market share. But I don't know. Maybe.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So I don't see Uber Eats drivers pulling the stuff that. Like,
what are you talking about? They dismembered somebody.
That was the customer. That was the customer, not the driver.
I would say I feel like Uber Eats has the worst customers, I think.
See, I see it different. Yeah, I don't know. But again, my market is definitely a good Uber Eats market. So,
yeah, mine's not so much.
So, man, like, just why even, like, if you're out, you know what, I'm going to get myself in trouble. I'm going to start getting emails if I go any further into this. So a driver was having a bad day, got into a shootout with the cops. A cop got injured and the driver got injured. So fortunately, nobody succumbed, whatever the word is. Nobody croaked. So it ended okay with a couple felonies. So
I mean, what is that, like attempted murder, probably, of a police
probably,
officer?
yeah. Like I
It
mean, the
was,
guy's
I
gonna go away for
forget,
a
it was
long
a,
time.
and I think there was even like terroristic threats, I think they threw at him too. Because in between there, he also pulled up to teenagers that were in a car and like threatened teenagers and just sitting in a car too. So
Yeah.
he literally went off like a
He needs
deep,
to get a
deep
good
end.
lawyer and tell him he's having like a mental crisis, and
Probably,
hopefully
yeah.
that'll help him.
So
That's crazy.
we have one more story before the funnies. No. I'm sorry, two actually. So how do you guys feel about this statement? Get a real job
It
as a
irks
It's
me.
driver.
dumb. I think it's dumb.
It
So
it irks me to no end. Whenever I hear it, whenever I see it in the comments, to me, it's a very simple answer. It is, I get paid, I make money, I pay my taxes. It's a real job. Simple.
so there's drivers out there who, and mind you, there's not a ton, but there are drivers out there who make a six-figure living doing this work. So I find it. So Kim and I had this discussion a couple of nights ago, or a couple days ago, and we have both had some shorts that have some short form videos that have reached a wider audience and gotten into the hands of some customers, and they will say some vile shit on the internet. Nova, have you ever had a customer tell you to get a real job or somebody on the internet?
I had people that I know. Like I've ran into someone like a long time ago, like like not a friend, like someone that like an acquaintance. He said,
Yeah,
"Oh, you're a delivery driver? Oh, like but the way he said it, you know what I mean?
was
Like I was supposed to
judgy.
feel different. Like I was supposed to feel some type
Yeah.
of way, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I make good money, do it when I want to. It's great." You know.
So
Uh,
I agree with Kim on this one. If and I'm sure you too. We're paying taxes just like everybody else. Furthermore, we're self starters. We don't have anybody breathing down our neck. If we don't make money, it's one of two reasons: either the market was slow, or you didn't motivate yourself to get out and do it. So I
When I, like, this was a couple of years ago, and this is even during, like, right when, like, we really started opening for, like, pandemic times. I went into a restaurant and, gift the gab, you get to know people, get to know the hostess, and the hostess goes, "So, what's your real job?" And I'm like, what do you mean, what's my real job? She goes, "No, like, what do you do?" And I said, "I deliver food. I work for Doordash, Uber Eats, and I wasn't in Grubhub, I don't think, at the time." And she goes, "No, like, what's, like," she just wasn't getting it. Like, "What's your real job?" And I'm like, this is my real job. And then, like, I literally educated her because she really thought that, like, we make nothing as delivery drivers. And I had asked her, I said, "Hopefully this isn't offensive." I said, "But do you mind me asking, how much do you make?" And I think she said like $14 or $15 an hour. And I said, "Well, I make $25 an hour per day on a good day." I mean, even on a slow day. And she's like,
uh,
"Oh." Like, she, like the light bulb, like, you can see, like, go on. Like, I think there's a very big misconception out there on what we do, how much we make. Like, I just feel like there's a lot of non-educated people on food delivery out there.
there's go ahead.
I was
I'm
gonna
still
say,
working
yeah,
through my thought anyway. Go ahead.
Like Kim was saying, this is a big misconception. I think people assume that it's easy because you got to think about this. No one's telling you to get online. No one's telling you to get out of bed. No one's telling you to do anything. If you don't get online and chase it, you're not getting anything. I have people tell me, "Oh, how much do you make a day?" And I'm like, that's a dangerous question, because what kind of worker are you? Are you the kind of person that wants to just hang out and not, just get paid hourly? That's not. This isn't it. I have people like quit their jobs, like, "Oh yeah, I work at Chipotle," and they say, "Oh, I'm doing DoorDash, but it's really slow and this and that." And it's just like, why'd you quit your job, man? That you're not, I think you got to be a not super special, but like a different type of mentality to do the gig apps.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
So Chris says they say to go to college, but honestly, it's not even worth it anymore unless you're going to be a doctor or lawyer. Trade school is a better way now. Plus, you can't teach me anything.
Well,
Oh, YouTube can teach. Sorry, YouTube can teach me anything. Sorry.
To add to Chris's point, right? If you want to go to college for, let's say you get a degree in English. First of all, good luck finding a job with that that's going to actually pay you fair, unless you want to be a professor, right? But furthermore, you have to take a bunch of stupid classes along with it. Like, I do not need to know what a parallelogram is. If I'm going to school for, hell, I don't know, English, right? I don't need to know what a parallelogram is. I still don't know what a parallelogram is. And there's so many people who are stuck in an old mindset of you either join the military, which, don't get me wrong, I think that's extremely admirable, or you go to school. And look at how many people are in debt deeply who are doing this type of work still and who still can't afford a house.
I guess I look at it like through my own personal experience because I went to college. I have a college degree. But I always think back, did I really need that college degree to get where I am today? Like, I was actually one of those people that actually worked in my field that I actually went to college for. Most people can't, don't say that or go on to other careers, but I really did. But I was thinking back, I'm like, but you know what? I think it's my work ethic. I think it was, how I treated customers. Like, it was a whole bunch of things, not my college education, that kept me climbing the corporate ladder, so to speak. So, it really does make you question, is the money that you spend on college really worth it to get you to where you get to in life?
So I think part of why people say get a real job is, at least one of the most common arguments I hear, is that we have to rely on tips, and so therefore it's not a real job. However, if you were to take away every tipping job, our economy would completely crumble. It would wipe out entire industries. And I'm sorry, like, the breakdown of my pay or your pay or Nova's pay doesn't make our income source any less valid than anybody else. Like, I don't need to ask permission from anybody if I want to go on vacation for a few days. I just don't make a freaking video. It's simple. We cut out, how many people can take their job, pick it up, and move it wherever they want in the country and still make money, right? I get that there's remote jobs, but that's not the reality for a lot of people. We have that freedom.
I also think people are a lot of times, and this is just even nationwide. And I think Zach and I talked about this a couple of days ago. I think a lot of times people are also hung up on titles. Like, they think oh, I'm a manager. Oh, I'm a CEO. Oh, I'm a lawyer. Like, it's like we're ingrained in our heads that we're very title driven, not knowing that someone who does what we do can make the same amount of money as someone who has like these fancy titles that they worked for in their career. So to me, titles don't mean anything. To me, life experiences is what I'm after this late in the game in my life, in my 40s. Like, my family is the most important thing to me right now. This allows me to be with my daughter and be a mom. Like, I couldn't be where I'm at right now when I had my old career. And to me, that's worth everything of what I do.
Of course. So I want to wrap this up here with one more quick discussion and then a couple of funnies. So I want to know if you guys think that this driver is right or wrong for what they did. So this is the Spark order, Kim. So this was specifically Spark, but I mean, realistically, this could apply to any app. So for those of you listening, it's a picture of a house with a bunch of cases of water stacked up and probably about, 30, 40 stairs?
Yeah.
That's a steep incline.
Yeah, and that's fairly steep too. So the message from the driver says, or not the message, the post says, deliver up those stairs cases with me, me with our arthritis at age 63. No, just no. So what do you think? Was this driver right or wrong?
I couldn't do that. Seriously, those 40 cases of Walmart water, like, I physically couldn't do that. I maybe would have been able to get up one case, maybe on a good day 2 cases, but like I'm 5 foot nothing. I couldn't carry all those cases of water up those stairs.
What about you, Nova?
I think if I couldn't pick him up as when I was picking them up at the store, I wouldn't have gotten that far. Does that make sense? Like I feel like I would have been like, "Ooh, I don't think I can do that," at the Walmart. You know what I mean? As opposed to, but
So,
it would have sucked, but I would have taken it all the way up there. I'm
so
already committed to that point.
I see this one a little different from Kim. On Spark, you can see what you're picking up before you check in. So this driver had an opportunity to look at what they were grabbing. Furthermore, they could see the delivery address, so they could street view it. So they could look at like Zillow.com, like Redfin, whatever, right? And they would have been able to see those stairs. There's nothing blocking it. This was completely on the driver for accepting this order and getting it that far and not completing
But
the
I
job.
wonder how often drivers look at the street view. I can tell you that I don't think I've ever done that
Oh, I
of
do it all the
of an
time.
address. Yeah, maybe that's just me. I haven't. But like you said, yeah, once you take the order and you know what you're getting, like you got to take it up there somehow.
I,
Yeah,
I
I wouldn't have taken it. First of all, those cases of water wouldn't have fit in my car. To your point, so I probably wouldn't have done it. But even if I had 2, I don't know whether physically I would have been able to get them up the stairs. I would have tried like heck, but I don't know whether I would have been able to.
so I understand that there's limiting medical conditions, and if you get to the point where you just can't do it, you just can't do it. My thing entirely is that this driver didn't have to put themselves in the position to begin with.
Right.
So they could have seen that there was a bunch of freaking water, and then they could have looked at the house online. So for anybody who is listening, just type the address into Google. If that house has ever been sold, there's going to be pictures. If that doesn't work, look at Google Street View. This will save your bacon over and over on complicated
All I
deliveries.
can think of is getting home drunk and then going up those steps would be impossible. Like I would just end up in the lawn at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a house once, and there's a place in New Jersey that overlooks like the ocean, but it also has these gorgeous views of New York City too. But it's on cliffs, and I pull up to this house, and I think it was like a Starbucks order. It wasn't even that big of an order, and I look at the house, and it was like all the way up, and I'm thinking, how the heck do I deliver this? So there were winding stairs up this cliff that were like this steep. And I'm like, do they seriously want me to do this? Like, and it had just snowed. There was snow on their stairs. And I'm like, I guess I'm going to be careful. And then I go all the way up, and I carefully climb all the way back down. I was exhausted. And then I realized there was like a dumbwaiter right next to me that I could have put it on the elevator to go upstairs.
So we had discussed the $2 tip with the cases of soda or water or something before in one of our first shows, and again, that was a different thing in my opinion, because the driver believed that the elevator was working, right? And they show up only to find out that there was an equipment malfunction. Different story. Again, completely just because this driver didn't have to find themselves in this position to begin with. So
Nova Sergio said the LA Times may be calling you.
Hey, sounds good. As long as they show them my color ID, no problem.
So we've got a couple more here to go over the funnies, Kim.
Yep. Oops, sorry.
So, this isn't really the funnies, but why don't we quickly discuss this super quick, because this was interesting. So these were specifically for Instacart, but I mean, really, they could apply to anything as well. And shout out to BuzzFeed for highlighting some of the garbage that these drivers put up with.
It was a really good article. I actually really
was.
enjoyed the article. If I remember, Zach, if you remember, put it in the show notes maybe after the show, so that way they can actually read it. It was a really good read, and I actually got a really good chuckle out of some of these, so that's why I put it in here.
So the first one is a Instacart message from the customer to the shopper, And it says, cancel my effing order before I shoot you. A little
Jeez.
passive aggressive. So the second one was a tip bait. It should have been $43.10, and they took it down to $5. So the next one says, the customer says, I have a request. The driver says yes. And then the customer says, is there a way you could do a silly dance for my 3 and 4-year-old? I almost feel like that's like a weird customer with a fetish there.
God, I
Like
hope
that's
not.
like that. I mean, why? Why would you ask somebody that? Like, are you gonna be in a doctor's appointment and ask the freaking doctor to like act like a crow out of nowhere? Like, what the hell?
Because people do it because they can. Unfortunately, there's nobody to stop them. There's nobody to question it. So they're going to keep doing strange things to drivers until it's said that they can't.
You know, something like that, I'd respond with like, "Oh, sorry, my sense of humor is run out for the day."
I just
You know,
reply, can you ask me something normal? Like, do you want me to buy you some cigarettes or whatever the typical requests are, as
so
opposed to that?
so this one actually, this one kind of got under my skin. Can you
Oh, I
come up,
hate
please? Yeah. The driver said, "There's no buzzer." Customer says, "Someone will let you in." Driver says, "Who?" Customer says, "The building is very busy. People come in and out." Driver says, "Excuse me, I can't wait for somebody to come in. Are you serious?" Screw that customer.
It's the same. It's the same with people that don't give you like a gate code or just follow
Oh,
somebody in.
mm-hmm.
What do you mean?
Start
Like,
the timer. Start the timer. When you get one of these people, guarantee if you get to take off with their order, it's the last time they'll pull that stunt. Kim, can I have you read this last one if you're able to?
Yep. Let me just pull it back up. It says, Matthew, you were really fast, but never gave me a chance to communicate with you, i.e., that I only accept my orders in paper bag. I never reward tip for the use of plastic bags. You know how damaging they are to the environment. So I am sorry, but I am removing the tip. If you had just taken a moment to think of your customer, at least say hi or something, you would have bagged it in paper and gotten a larger tip that was originally 15%.
Oh, well, Karen, it's called delivery instructions. So that is a prime example of a customer who had no intention on tipping to begin with, and they can kiss the fattest part of my ass. I cannot stand people like this. That was nothing more than an excuse to tip bait that driver. Get over it. Put it in
But do
the
you
notes.
realize that there's a thumbs up next to it?
Well, maybe they feel bad about tip baiting their driver, but had to come up with an excuse.
that's what it sounds
know.
like.
So, you know what? People like this, honestly, like that's the kind of stuff that should get somebody blocked.
It just makes
That's
me
not a
shake
valid
my
reason.
head. No.
Yeah, that's not a valid reason
It's
to tip bait
horrible.
somebody.
It's horrible. Both of these people are horrible, Karens.
You know, so furthermore, I don't know if the person who wrote poor Matthew here this review is aware, but there is this brand new wild thing. It's called recycling, where you can put your plastic in and it doesn't end up in the ocean.
Or he can move to New Jersey where there's no plastic bags anymore, so he can
Or
become
Washington.
a recycle state.
Or
All you gotta do is
Washington.
pay 5 cents here. You still got plastic bags.
Oh yeah. No, you gotta you gotta pay 8 cents here for the paper ones, and plastic is just not an option.
The paper
So-
one is free right now. So if you go to CVS, they just give you a paper bag, so you don't pay for the plastic bags.
Those are the luxuries we just don't enjoy, man.
That's pretty crazy.
We've got 2 funnies for you. So DoorDash would be like, it's busy in your area. Dash now.
That's a classic right there.
That's so true.
I found this
Just,
actually really funny.
yeah, and then just sitting around not getting anything, just waiting and waiting. Yeah.
But it's so true. How many times do you turn on your map and it's like, it says busy and you're like, yes, I'm going to get orders. And then it's
And that's
like
crickets.
crickets.
Yeah. So we've got one more. Go ahead, Kim.
It says, hi, this is DoorDash connecting you to your Dasher. It was a meme. And it says, bag secured, and it's a raccoon driving the car.
So, getting tongue-tied here. So, Nova, there we go. Sorry about that. Where can people find you?
Hey man, YouTube. I'm on YouTube. I need to get my shorts game up. I'm slacking in the shorts category for sure. But yeah, just on my YouTube channel.
Okay, so Nova Dasher. All right. And friendly reminder to those of you who were not here in the beginning, Harry from the RideShare Guy, the original RideShare Guy, just did an interview with Tony Shu. So be watching for that interview to hit the channel. Should be very interesting.
I can't wait for it. I feel like I need to like pop popcorn so I can like watch it go down.
I know. I'm gonna sit there like taking notes. Like, why didn't you ask him this? Why
Do
didn't
you
you ask
guys
him
know
that?
if he went hard at him or no?
Don't know. Haven't
We don't
seen it.
know. We don't know. We just know it's coming.
I hope
So,
he did. Because if not, people are gonna be like, "Why didn't you?"
So,
So
but speaking of, also, I just want to say next week, also, we have Chris and Sergio on as our guests next week. So excited for them to join Money Hungry. So
that is going to be an awesome show. So, Nova Dasher, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you to each and every one of you for taking time out of your day to spend some time with us. We'll catch you next
thank you
week.
for having me.
Thanks for being here.
thanks, Nova.
All right. You all
Bye,
take
everyone.
care. Have a good week.